1977. The first of my story to you is that whenever given an opportunity, do your best because you will never know who will be watching you. When I arrived in Atlanta, I struggled to come to terms with the weather and overcoming injury. I played as a substitute in 2 friendly games against Manchester City, who had just been crowned the English League champions in England. And scoring 2 goals in the first game, we won. I went on to score the winning goal in the second match 2 weeks later in the same tour. In the same season, I was able to score 16 goals in 15 matches. I became the top scorer in the league that season. As a result of this achievement, I was voted Rookie of the Year and gained a place on the North American Soccer League All-Star team. So if injury and weather conditions dictated, I would not be standing before you today. Today, I look back and say to myself, it was painful, but worth it. What is key for me is in what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, I quote, "If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep the streets even as a Michelangelo painted or Beethoven composed music or Shakespeare written poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well." You must excel in whatever you do and decide to do in life.
That is Kaiser Motaung, a businessman and founder of Kaizer Chiefs Football Club. He was speaking there at the University of Cape Town. It was after receiving his honorary doctorate in social sciences, and it's for his significant contribution to sports development. Welcome to the show. It's 11 after 9 o'clock. You tuned in to The Talking Point as we lead conversations that move us right through until midday. My name is Cathy Mohlahlana, and of course I'll be steering the ship for you as we navigate our way through the various issues that we'll tackle this morning. Today, looking at Kempton Park or Tambo Airport. This is where the ICC World Test Champions, I must say, are going to be returning home this morning. And they're really expected to return to a hero's welcome, rightfully so, after having won the championship at Lord's over the weekend. I see South Africans have already started to gather there, lots of young children in their school uniforms, also, of course, being given the morning off so that they have a chance to welcome some of their heroes at OR Tambo. So we'll keep a close eye on that, and we'll take you live to OR Tambo when there's some interesting things happening. So we'll keep you updated in terms of what is unfolding there. It is going to start off with, or we are going to start off rather with the open line on this Wednesday morning on the show. It is your National Roundtable. And remember, everybody has a seat around the National Roundtable. I'll be taking your calls on 086 000 2032. That's the number to dial, 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Of course, one of the stories we can't ignore is what is happening globally, right? You would have seen the news around Iran and around Israel and Iran, and of course Israel launching an attack against Iran on Friday. And one really wonders, what is the end goal, right? What is the end goal? What is Israel's aim? Part of the reporting, and this is off of the BBC, credit to them, is that Israeli military officials really see this as a preemptive attack. One, to damage Iran's nuclear program, as they believe it has reached the point of no return. However, there is no evidence that Iran is, in fact, running a nuclear program. Israel has provided no evidence for this. The latest assessments of the international community, including from the U.S., have indicated that Iran had made no decision to weaponize its nuclear program, and it's a program which it abandoned in 2003. Iran is also a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and it says it has the right to a peaceful nuclear program and has consistently denied seeking nuclear power. Israel is not a member of the NPT and is widely believed to have nuclear weapons, but has always rejected that. The conflict, however, seems to be entering new terrain as the U.S. President Donald Trump now says he's considering whether to join Israel's strikes in targeting Iran's underground nuclear sites. This, of course, could lead to a complete shift and change of what we have seen over the last couple of days since Friday. And one wonders, well, to what end? The U.S. president posting on his account on Truth Social in the last 24 hours, calling for Iran's unconditional surrender. He says they know where the country's leader is, but won't kill him for now. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, says he will never compromise with Israel and will show no mercy. So a lot of war talk that is currently taking place. And the question is, what will happen next? Will there be any way of actually de-escalating the situation is one of the questions that we have to answer. We'll keep an eye on that developing story globally, and I wonder if you have anything to contribute towards what you see or how you reflect on what is unfolding right now. Coming up on the show today in the second hour, we'll get into our Citizens Corner. And today we're going to be looking at the issues around the EPWP program, Extended Public Works Program. There have been a number of people who've been provided these work opportunities who have said that they have not been paid. And it's a challenge that these programs face from time to time. We're going to get to the bottom of what exactly is happening and why we continuously see these challenges. We'll have the officials from the Transport Department and also from the EPWP program who will unpack that matter for us. And Citizens Corner, it is really the voices of the people that we champion during that hour. So you'll also hear from those that are affected by this issue who have been part of the program and who've raised it with us. And in the final hour of the show, we're going to be taking a look at the SETAs, the Sector Education and Training Authorities. They, of course, are faced with a number of challenges. Just recently, of course, has been the issue of appointments. We now have a minister who is effectively being accused of lying under oath to Parliament. The DA says is taking action against her. While all of that happens, the appointments to those boards has been stalled so that it can be run independently, transparently. At least that was the commitment of the Minister of Higher Education at the time. So we'll get some insights around the SETAs and just what is it really that these institutions are mandated to do and the skills that they're supposed to be providing to South Africans. And we'll wrap then up with our G20 series with Lerato Zebe. So that's all coming up on the show over the next 3 hours. Quite a lot for us to get into, but undoubtedly we'll be able to do it all. Earlier this week, it was on Monday that we received a call from one of our listeners, Temba, who's out in Matatiele, and he complained about a local hospital and the treatment that pregnant women in particular had been receiving from this hospital. And he gave us the example of one of his friends that he knew who had suffered a miscarriage, allegedly because of the negligence of nursing staff at the hospital. So the Department of Health has reached out to give a right of reply, and we will also then be speaking to one of the women involved here, one of the women who is bringing these allegations against the department. All of that coming up after this break.
Welcome back to the sun-drenched shores of St. Marie, where the beaches are beautiful and the murders are mysterious. It's Death in Paradise Season 7. New cases, quirky suspects, and D.I. Jack Mooney, who's still figuring out the island and how to drink coconut water gracefully. Catch the show where paradise meets puzzling crime. Because even in paradise, someone always has a secret. Death in Paradise Season 7. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 28 May. S3. Open up.
The Northwest Provincial Legislature Portfolio Committee on Economic Development, Environment, Conservation and Tourism, chaired by Honorable Mpokunou, will be conducting public hearings on the Northwest Gambling Act Amendment Bill and the Northwest Consumer Affairs Bill on Friday, 20 June 2025 in Makobistad Community Hall, Ngakamudiri Molayama District, Khamogopa Community Hall, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda District, Rayville Community Hall, Dr. Ruth Somuti Mumpati District, and Manserre Community Hall in Pujanala District. All hearings start at 10.
This Youth Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit, power, and potential of young South Africans. Join us as we dive into conversations that matter, from innovation to education and skills for the changing world. Empowering youth for meaningful economic participation. Because at SAFM, we're not just talking, we're leading the conversations that move us. SAFM will be broadcasting live from the Sanlam Benchmarking Survey event at the Sandton Convention Center this Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. We'll be diving into all things retirement with Sanlam Corporate, unpacking their latest research on how South Africans are preparing or not for life after work. We'll chat to some thought leaders in the retirement space for their take on our collective readiness to retire confidently. Unfortunately, most South Africans may only retire with confidence at age 80. So how do we shift this reality? What can employers, policymakers, and individuals do to change the outlook? Join us for real insights into the future of retirement and employee benefits in South Africa. That's Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. only on SAFM.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
All right, you're listening to The Talking Point. It is the open line, your national roundtable. The number to dial this morning for our studio, 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. So as I mentioned before break, Temba got in touch with us on Monday, complaining about the service received at the Taylor Bequest Provincial Hospital in Matatiele. And he spoke to us about one of his friends that had suffered a miscarriage there due to alleged negligence by the nurses. Well, she joins us on the line this morning. She is going to remain anonymous. Good morning, ma'am, and thank you so much for your time and for coming onto the show to share your story.
Good morning, ma.
I'm so sorry about what has happened to you. Your friend Temba tried to give us some of the details, but perhaps in your own words, unpack for us your experience at this hospital.
Can I just tell you all the story of what happened?
Well, if you can tell the story, but try and
to
keep it as short.
Summarize it,
Yes, please. Yes, please. Because we also have Dr. Wagner, who is from the Eastern Cape Health Department. She is the head of Department of Health, and she will also be giving her response.
Okay. I'll try to summarize it. Thank you for having me on the line. On the 26th, it was around 10 o'clock in the midnight. I went to the hospital, and then when I was washing, I saw the blood clot, and then I rushed to the hospital, as we normally being told by the nurses that if you see anything, you must rush to the hospital when you are pregnant. If you see something like blood. So I went to the hospital, and then the hospital, they attended me, and then they told me that I've got a threatened miscarriage. It's not a miscarriage yet, but it's a threatened. And then they admitted me. And then I stayed for the night, and then on the 27th, the doctor attended me. But they told me that they are going to take me to the scan. They took me on the 26th. They took me to the scan, and then they said they are going to confirm something on the next day. And then on the 27th, the doctor attended me, and then they didn't put me in the scan. They said they are going to put me in the scan on the 28th. They want to put me on bed rest. On the 28th, the doctor attended me. They said to me they don't see. The first doctor told me that I can't confirm anything yet because I don't see the child, the child on your womb. But I'll confirm with another doctor. If ever the child is not in your womb, then we have to clean you, and then I'll order something to clean you. And then she called another doctor. When another doctor put a scan on me, and then she said, here is the child, and it's alive and moving. So they told me that, okay, we are not going to clean you because we can see the child is alive. We are going to put you on bed rest. So I said, okay, wow, thanks God that I haven't had a miscarriage. And then they put me on bed rest. Before 7 o'clock, before they changed the shift, there's another nurse who put a drip on me before they changed the shift. They said it's antibiotic or something. It's just a drip, a small drip, and then they changed the drip. While they are changing the drip, they normally do the rounds and tell them like this patient is suffering on what. But those people, they were not even listening while the other nurse telling them that okay, this one is suffering on what. They were gossiping. After that, after they changed the shift, there's another nurse who came into our ward, and then I was sleeping by then. After they went out, I just got to sleep. When she comes in, and then I was asleep by then, she called me by name, and then I couldn't hear her. She called me again, and I couldn't hear her. The lady who's on the next bed next to me, she told her that, okay, let me just wake her up. Because when she got a drip, it always dragged her. Let me just wake her up. And then she told me that, no, don't worry. I know what to do. I know how am I going to wake her up. Okay. When she says like that, and then I woke up, she was holding a needle with a drip. And then I told her that, okay, they already injected me. They just put a drip on me. So please don't put a drip on me because they just put a drip on me. That is why I was sleeping, because every time they put a drip on me, it dragged me. And then she told me, she was very rude. She told me, you can't tell me what to do. You are a patient here, and I did the practicals. I know what to do. You won't tell me what to do. And then I kept quiet, but she was very rude. She was talking like, I don't know how to explain it, but she was very rude. She was very rude. But I don't even know whether I can say the name of the nurse or must I just?
No, I think don't say her name for now. Then just anonymous. I'm going to ask you to try and just summarize a bit more tightly.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then before the trip.
So okay. Anonymous. Here's what's going to happen. It's aging towards 9:30. I'm going to take the latest news headlines. We're going to come back with Anonymous, and then we're going to hear from the head of Department of Health in the Eastern Cape.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, whether the IEC should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's two-day symposium kicking off in Durban today. Two men are expected to appear in the Wynberg Magistrates Court in Cape Town after police caught them in an e-hailing vehicle they allegedly hijacked. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has wrapped up his working visit to Canada. The president attended the G7 outreach program with other leaders. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
This week on BBC Primetime, watching TV could make you a winner. It's the BBC Primetime Watch and Win competition. Just tune into your BBC Primetime shows, answer a few simple questions on S3's TikTok account, and you could walk away with awesome prizes. From thrilling dramas to jaw-dropping reality shows, the more you watch, the more chances you have to win. Watch, answer, win. Only on BBC Primetime. Airs weeknights 9 to 11 p.m. on S3. Your couch just became the best seat in the game.
Oliver Dixon on SAFM.
While Life as Esidimeni was a national story, it really only affected people in Gauteng because it was Gauteng-based hospital.
Funny enough, I always say Life as Esidimeni has been happening. It's just that we didn't know about it.
Oh, wow.
Or sometimes it was never the 144 people that we knew about. And I feel like we only knew about this one because it was such a huge number and it was in the news. We don't know about the 5 that happened in Grahamstown. We don't know about the 2 that happened in Lusikisiki because maybe the news never get there. But Life as Esidimeni has been happening, and it is still happening today. But it's not 144 people that are dying. That's how we don't know about it.
Siyambonga Mdubeki, who's a writer and actor.
Night Talk, Monday to Thursdays, 10 to midnight. SAFM will be broadcasting live from the Sanlam Benchmarking Survey event at the Sandton Convention Centre this Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. We'll be diving into all things retirement with Sanlam Corporate, unpacking their latest research on how South Africans are preparing or not for life after work. We'll chat to some thought leaders in the retirement space for their take on our collective readiness to retire confidently. Unfortunately, most South Africans may only retire with confidence at age 80. So how do we shift this reality? What can employers, policymakers, and individuals do to change the outlook? Join us for real insights into the future of retirement and employee benefits in South Africa. That's Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. only on SAFM.
#SAFM Talking Point.
All right, we continue the conversation on the talking point. It is still the open line. And on the line, we have Anonymous. And Anonymous is telling us her experience at the Taylor Bequest Provincial Hospital in Matatiele. And also joining this conversation is Dr. Rolene Wagner, Eastern Cape Head of Department of Health. So, Anonymous, you were telling us about the nurse who then comes to give you a drip, even though you were telling her that those that had just come off a shift had already given you a drip. And like I asked you before, please try and just get to, some of the key things that happened so that we can give Dr. Wagner an opportunity to respond.
Okay, thank you. What happened is that after she just put a drip on me, within a minute I started bleeding, like heavy bleeding. Like I told her that, see what is happening now. I told you that you mustn't put a drip on me because they just put a drip. What were you expecting? What were you expecting? What did they tell you when you come in here? I told you that they said I've got threatened miscarriage. So now, what is happening now? I said, I was sleeping and I wasn't bleeding. Why did you put the drip on me? Because I told you that you mustn't put a drip on me, because they just put a drip on me. See what is happening now. And then I showed her, like, see, the pad was just full now. Within a minute, put that pad. And I was showing you what is happening here. And then I started having a panic attack, like, and then she couldn't care. She couldn't care. What is happening now? I can see I can hear there's heavy things coming out. Tell me when you are done. Tell me when you are done. I haven't even had a miscarriage in my life. I don't even know what is happening when you are having a miscarriage. Tell me when you are done. When all those things had come out. And then she just left me like that. She left me, and then she came back. Are you done? Done what? I'm still breathing. Yes, I'm still breathing, but I can hear those heavy things. They are not coming out now. It's bleeding. Show me. And then she opened the blankets, and then let me clean you. And then she put it a bucket next to me. And then she said I must sit onto the bucket. When I sit onto a bucket, there's something that came out and into the bucket. I don't even know what was it, but it's a big, like, a black thing. I couldn't even look at it. It was covered by blood. And then she put it next to my bed. And then they just took out the blankets on the bed, and then she left me like that, and then she put me another drip, and then she left me like that. She was very rude. The things that she was telling me is like, you are 40, you are not supposed to even crying. And she couldn't even care that I'm having like a panic attack, and then she couldn't even care. The worst thing that happened, she told me that I must take that bucket and go and throw that thing by myself, throw it out by myself. The next day, they couldn't even take me to the theater for cleaning, and then they just discharged me. But the next day after the shift, what makes me like to be aware, they took my file like 3 times. They took my file and go to the office, and then came back and put it, and then they take my file again, and then like as if there's something suspicious that happened. And the next day they told me that they have to book for me to the psychologist. So they asked what is this? A psychologist. And then when I was talking to that person, they couldn't even give her my file. They couldn't even give her my file. But my point is, if she didn't put that drip on me, if she listened to me, maybe my child would be still alive even now.
Sure. Anonymous, what a traumatic ordeal all of this sounds like. How have you been feeling since then? How have you been doing?
Sure. I couldn't cope. I couldn't, like, on a serious note, it's still traumatic even now. Seeing your child going to flush your child, like, by yourself, without anyone helping you. At least if she treated me on the right way, she talked to me on a right manner, maybe I could understood. If she explained to me, okay, is this is what happened, this is what is happening. Even if she listened to me when I was saying to her, don't put a drip on me, because they just put a drip on me, and I wasn't bleeding by then.
I can imagine you have so many questions that you need answered. Let me bring into the conversation Dr. Rolene Wagner. She's the Eastern Cape Head of Department of Health. Dr. Wagner, your response to Anonymous and the experience that she had at one of your provincial hospitals.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to Anonymous on the line, as well as to your listeners. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this, your program, and to understand how our patient felt. So I think there are three things. Firstly, let me just offer condolences, and I really am sorry for your loss. Even if it's early on in the pregnancy, it's as painful to a woman when she loses a child during pregnancy. And then the second area is around the rudeness of the staff. Obviously, as a caring department, what you relate to me is not acceptable behavior. And I'm going to share my number with you. I would invite Anonymous to please share the name of the nurse that she had that encounter with. And we will then make sure that the appropriate redress is undertaken with respect to the behavior of our staff. The third area is I can also understand the questions that she has around the drip. Did that or did that not cause the miscarriage, etc. And while still trying to protect the confidentiality of the patient, when it comes to miscarriage, up to 25% of pregnancies can end in a miscarriage. The highest risk is often in that first trimester, so in other words, in your first 12 weeks of pregnancy. There are a number of contributory factors, and again, out of just respect for the patient, just to speak in principles, contributory factors that place women at risk would be age, either very young or over 35, if the mom has comorbidities, or if there is a challenge with the cervix or the womb, etc. Also, in the first trimester, another major contributory factor could be the fetus itself. And so when a woman comes in and she has spotting or bleeding with or without low abdominal pain, that is termed a threatened miscarriage. And so we have, once we got the complaint yesterday, we had our team, our quality assurance team, draw the relevant files and initiate an investigation. And from our preliminary investigation, it would appear that the treatment recommended by the clinical team was appropriate. So where the patient is having a threatened miscarriage in the first trimester, we would offer the patient bed rest, and also the fluids, the drip that was put up with the antibiotics would not be inappropriate. The bed rest does not necessarily always result in stopping a miscarriage from happening. It's, as I said, it depends on all those contributory factors that can result in either the pregnancy being maintained or the pregnancy being lost. But our preliminary investigations have shown that this was a first trimester miscarriage, and yeah.
Dr. Wagner, in terms of the steps that this nurse followed, I mean, is that the way that it should be done?
So when a doctor has put forward on a prescription that certain treatment needs to be given, so bed rest, a patient put on fluids, and the patient, we then hope that the bleeding settles and that the pregnancy continues. As I said, we can't always control that outcome. The manner in which the nurse was speaking to the patient, for me, it would not be appropriate. And similarly, it is, as a woman and having had a miscarriage myself, I understand exactly where Anonymous is coming from. You're already feeling fragile. So to me to go up and dispose of the products of the miscarriage, it's just not appropriate. That's not ideal. And that is why I'm saying I would really appreciate that gets shared with me so that we can investigate and do the necessary redress. The necessary redress is for our patient and supporting our patient, and also to make sure that this kind of behavior is not repeated.
All right.
I think the other thing just to add, and it's for all our listeners, often we don't realize how this affects us emotionally when we do have a miscarriage, whatever the stage of the pregnancy. And so the offering of the psychologist or referral to a social worker for counseling is really important. And to Anonymous, we'd like to say that this is a genuine offer, and the offer still remains that we can provide the necessary support for her in addition to redressing her complaints about the staff attitude.
Look, I think that obviously here we're dealing with more than just staff attitude. It's also just how this nurse did her job, which is really Anonymous's point. That's what she's emphasizing. And I guess the opportunity here is to give you a chance to go and look into this particular member of staff, because to me, it just sounds unacceptable that what happened would happen at a hospital. One can't imagine something like this happening at a private hospital, because there would be serious repercussions. And it's not just about her bad attitude. It's that she made the experience worse. She traumatized this patient in how she expected her to handle the whole situation.
I would agree with you. It's not just attitude, it's attitude and behavior. It is unacceptable, which is why we want to investigate it, determine the fact, and redress it, because it cannot be allowed to repeat itself. As I said, it's an experience that I've had myself, and so I know how fragile one is and how vulnerable you're feeling. So I really do want to apologize for that experience of the patient that she experienced, and we will deal with it. I will share my details with you, and also with the patient, if you could please share it with the patient, and she's welcome. I will then engage with her to get the name of that nurse, and we will deal with it.
The difficulty also, Rolene, is the fact that you have a number of patients and people who've gone to get treatment at Taylor Bequest, and they have had negative experiences. One of my listeners is saying that it's a hell of a hospital. There's no management, and there's a lot more that can be said about it.
So thank you for that. We've also taken a look closer at Taylor Bequest Hospital. I'm sure you are aware that it's a 169-bedded hospital, and it serves just over 200,000 people. We went specifically to look at the workload at the facility. So in any given year, we have about 7,800 plus patients that are admitted, and we delivered over 2,000 women at the facility. We then looked closer at the complaints received at the facility to look at the types and numbers of complaints and to make sure that there's redress and appropriate responses to any concerns the patients have had. And we obviously always strive not to have complaints and to have our patients receive the best possible care. When complaints do occur, then we do attend to those. So we're working with the management team. It's a very busy hospital. In our maternity section, about 89% of our beds are always occupied. And as you can see, it's a very busy hospital. We have had complaints. It's not that we've not had complaints. They've not been excessive compared to other facilities in the area, but every complaint is one that should not be happening and is an opportunity to improve our system and our services.
Anonymous in the Eastern Cape has sent a message, says that hospital has a long history of records of negligence with all kinds of conditions. In fact, we know that when people go to that hospital, they go there in order to die.
Again, I know we term as lay people, we use the term negligence quite loosely. And so we know that medical negligence is either a negligent act or an omission that a reasonable person would not do. So we track our statistics around medical negligence, and the Taylor Bequest Hospital has not been a red flag amongst our facilities where we've had medical negligence claims. So, in other words, if an act or an omission must not simply be wrong, it must fall below the reasonable standard of care that one expects of a reasonable practitioner in the context that it's provided. So we are not saying that there are no complaints, but every complaint is not necessarily negligence. Again, when there's a complaint or an act of negligence, we act immediately to not only do redress, but try and identify what are the contributory factors and how do we strengthen the service so that we minimize it. At a general level in our province, we have significantly decreased the number of negligence claims against the department compared to when it peaked as far back as 2017. We've had over 60% reduction in number of new claims because we've been strengthening our systems, even though it's sometimes difficult and having very, very constrained funding envelopes. We're doing the best we can within the available budgets to improve the services we provide. That being said, we are working with the CEO as well as the district manager, given that there are complaints, to have a closer look at tailored requests and look at how we can support the hospital to provide better care.
Well, Dr. Wagner, we'll give you an opportunity to go and conduct your investigation, and we'll be in touch to get an update from you on this matter.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
Dr. Rolene Wagner there, the Eastern Cape Head of Department of Health. So, yeah, I wonder what you make of all of that. We'll take a quick break. Back with more after this.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals. After league and cup triumphs for Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, George Maluleka, Lethono Majoro, and George Lebesi embark on a journey to conquer the glamorous world of cosmetics. Join us as we find out how they maneuver through this highly competitive industry. Streaming on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturday, 21 June at 8:30 p.m. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
Morning, Cathy. If they see you that you are illiterate, you've got a poor background, the nurses will take chances and ignore you and ill-treat you. It's wise to be there when your relative is going to deliver a baby. You must be there. There's lots of discrepancies. Thank you, Cathy.
Cathy and South Africans, my broken heart goes out to that lady in Matatiele in the Eastern Cape for that terrible miscarriage. You know, this is happening all over South Africa. I don't know what happened after 1994. People took what they call freedom for impunity, for negligence, for arrogance. I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating here. It happens all over South Africa. That's why we say, this is exactly the point why we say we don't want another dialogue, another CODESA. We need the government to implement the existing laws. There are no consequences for the wrong that people do in this country. That's why even other people, other aliens from other countries come into our country and do as they wish, because they see there's no law in this country. It's just a cover-up, cover-up, cover-up. Matibang, thank you.
Good day, it's Temba again. All I'm asking for is for the HOD to just physically come down to Matat and listen to the complaints of the community. There is a lot. It's not only this. Today, I gave a lift to one lady who broke her legs 13th of May. To date, she has not been treated well. She was just given a slap. There is a lot. People are complaining about Taylor because the worst part of it is bad attitude from the nursing staff.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
All right, so that issue then raised on the open line and carried forward, it's certainly one that we'll continue to keep an eye on. Shane, you're in KZN. Good morning.
Hi, Cathy. First-time caller. I'd still like to say that regarding all this turbulence that's happening in Israel with the Palestinians, I live in the Durban area, and I would like to say that there's a lot of things that the EFF and ANC who are pontificating about racist Israel and apartheid Israel and the like. So I would just like to say that as far as I'm concerned, the areas of Overport, Sydenham, Clear Estate, Eswood, Musgrave, there are many, many, many buildings that have been taken over by Muslim community. They either build complexes or buy complexes. And in those complexes or simplexes, they are the only black people you see there are the gardener, the security guard, or the domestic. As far as I am concerned, they've got an untold, unwritten word that says you buy from a Muslim, you sell to a Muslim. Those units are completely Muslim, and I don't think the ANC and the EFF rabble rousers are aware of this. They must come to Durban and do a check or a roundabout. I can gladly go with them and take them around to all these respective areas and show them where apartheid is alive and well here, right here in Devon.
I mean, what you're saying, I think, can be found in certain parts of the country. And it almost becomes like these enclaves that, different communities are setting up for themselves. And I always wonder, how is this possible? How is it engineered? That only certain places only certain people can buy properties in these areas. How is it managed? Is it estate agents told, that, by the way, it's an, unwritten rule?
It's an unwritten rule. It's not like apartheid where there was signage all over the show. It's an unwritten rule. You buy from one of us, you sell from one of us. And that's the end of it. If you tender your regards to purchasing, you won't get a word from them. They will get back to you if need be, and that's the last. I've got a litany of addresses where there are only complexes or simplexes or duplexes. Overport, Clear Estate, Asherville, the whole truth. Only Muslims live in there. So the last people that must accuse Israel of being racist, as far as I'm concerned, is the Muslim community. And I'll stick to that point, and they must prove me wrong.
Okay, Shane out in KZN. An interesting contribution there from Shane. And I don't want to limit it only to the Muslim community because you see it in some white suburbs, especially if you're trying to rent out, you're renting out in those areas. If you're black and you're sending through an application, don't even bother. It's not going to be approved. And sometimes these estate agents can't help themselves. The questions that they ask you, you're just like, ma'am, like, what are these questions for? Is this now, am I being profiled based on whether or not I can stay here? Or is there a whole other criteria that isn't on the form that I'm being profiled along? Zweli Banzi, you're in Ejozini. Good morning.
Morning, Cathy. How are you?
Good. Go for it, Zweli.
Cathy, it was a very interesting story that you were chatting with Wagner from Eastern Cape. Really, these things are happening. But on a lighter note, I will, on behalf of the community of Jozini and in Ngwavuma, would like to give gratitude, especially to Otobotini CHC, that is a mini hospital in Jozini. They are working very, very well. They love their patients. They take care of their patients. They listen to them, even though they are working under pressure. They are understaffed, but they go all out each and every day. I normally go to chronic side of the hospital, and there are really, really good people there. I would like to give highly appreciating the CEO, that is D.S. Mkwanazi, and also Mr. S.R. Dlamini, and also Mrs. Zetimieni. I don't know, Cathy, maybe if you can just invite them in your program and ask them what is it that they are doing well, because they are really, really doing fine with the patients. Yes, of course, complaints will be there and there, but they are, out of 100, they are 85% working right with the community. And I hope and I believe that Ntate Mswaledi is listening, or maybe Ntate Zomo and Mama Noma Kukusmelani. They have to go there sometime, and those hospitals that are performing well, they deserve something, token of appreciation. They deserve something from the government to recognize them, because they are really, really working, continuously giving themselves up, even though they are understaffed.
Wow.
So what I can, yes.
So Zoli, I think that is incredible, and it's not often that you will hear of people that want to take initiative to celebrate some of the hospital staff and talk so positively about the experiences and the way that you have. What is the name of the hospital, Zoli Panzi?
Otogotini CHC.
Otogotini CHC Hospital. And
yes.
Where is it? Ejozini?
Yes, it's between Jozini and Ngwavoma. It's in the Msiane area.
Wow. Well, congratulations to the hospital management and staff there. It's very encouraging to hear that there are some people that are getting it right. There are some institutions that are getting it right.
Yes, ma'am.
And it shows that it is possible, right? It shows that
it's possible.
It is possible.
It's possible, Cathy. You know what? If those other hospitals that are anti-functioning well, if maybe they can just go there and ask them, what is their recipe? Because they even go as far as checking, driving out and check the patient. If the patient is no more being seen in the hospital, to come and fetch the
Wow, absolutely incredible. Zweli Banzi, thank you for that contribution. It's just after 10 o'clock, time for your latest news.
In our top stories, IEC Symposium on Political Party Funding, and Israeli attack targets missile production facility in Iran. Good morning. Whether the IEC should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's two-day symposium kicking off in Durban today. The event will reflect on the challenges and successes of the Political Party Funding Act since its implementation in 2021. The Act aims to regulate the public and private funding of political parties to improve transparency and accountability as well as avoid capture. The IEC's George Mahlangu says the decision on how to improve the manner in which the Act operates lies with the public and their representatives, giving insight in terms of international best practice.
In other countries, there are two separate institutions. There's an institution that does the registration of political parties and the political funding. And then there's an EMB which does elections and elections only. Now, in that instances, you find that the political parties that transgress the law get disregistered by the body that registered them initially. Now, in our case, at the moment, the political parties didn't register with political funding unit, but they registered with the electoral operations through the Electoral Act. Now, if they transgress the law, is political funding unit the right unit to deregister a political party?
Two men are expected to appear in the Wynberg Magistrates Court in Cape Town today. Police caught them in an e-hailing vehicle they allegedly hijacked. Police spokesperson Wesley Twig says the men were arrested in Grassy Park. He says the suspects requested an e-hailing vehicle, and when the driver arrived, he was robbed of his vehicle. 3 Mozambican nationals have been arrested in Springs, east of Johannesburg, after they were found allegedly in possession of dismantled motorcycles bound for Mozambique. One of the motorcycles was reported stolen in Cosmo City in Johannesburg. Police believe the suspects are part of a motorcycle theft syndicate. Gauteng Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo says the trio are expected to appear in the Benoni Magistrates Court soon.
Members of crime intelligence received information about individuals who were in possession of suspected stolen motorcycles in Kingsway location. Information was that the suspect had dismantled 2 motorcycles and had wrapped them up and would later be taken to Mozambique. Upon arrival at the address, 2 individuals were found covering a Silver Linex Yamaha Jet Sky and putting it in a trailer. One suspect wanted to escape upon seeing the police, but he was apprehended.
President Cyril Ramaphosa wrapped up his working visit to Canada. The president attended the G7 outreach program with other leaders. He says he was able to engage the G7 leaders on South Africa's readiness to host the G20 Leaders Summit later this year.
Well, we've just concluded our visit to Canada to attend the G7 summit. It's been most meaningful for us, particularly as we are the president of the G20. We've had the opportunity to interact with a number of heads of states and government of various countries. And the issues that we put on the table is the issue of climate change and how important it should be treated by the global community with regard to our just energy transition.
And finally, the Israeli military says it struck nuclear and missile production sites in Iran. This as President Donald Trump deliberates on whether to commit U.S. forces to the bombing campaign. The IDF says more than 50 Israeli warplanes have been deployed on the 6th day of airstrikes targeting factories that produce rocket components. The BBC's Hugo Bachega has the details.
Explosions were heard in and around Tehran around dawn. Reports say Israeli airstrikes hit a key missile production facility and an academy linked to the Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hours earlier, the Israeli military had issued an evacuation order for people in Tehran's District 18, which includes military buildings and residential neighborhoods. In Israel, air raid alerts sounded twice overnight as Iran responded, saying it had used a hypersonic missile, but there have been no reports of casualties.
Recapping the top story, whether the IEC should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's 2-day symposium kicking off in Durban today. The event will reflect on the challenges and successes of the Political Party Funding Act since its implementation in 2021. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
The land is their legacy, but in Season 3 of Yellowstone, that legacy is under fire. Kevin Costner returns as John Dutton, fighting to protect his ranch, his family, and everything that can't be bought. More enemies, deeper betrayal, and the battle for the West, it's only just begun. Yellowstone Season 3. This land was won with blood, and it'll take more to keep it. Saturdays at 9:30. Starts 24 May. Only on S3. Open up.
Winter in Nelson Mandela Bay is for getting out and not staying in. Get outdoors on a green flag hiking trail or go for a game drive at one of 15 private reserves right at our doorstep. Hit the beach or get on board with a whale watching cruise. Explore the historical heart of our city or come vibe with the locals on a township tour. There's so much to discover. Find Nelson Mandela Bay, South Africa on Facebook or visit nmbt.co.za. Nelson Mandela Bay, your winter and our summer destination.
It's that time of year. The annual Drakensberg Boys Choir Music in the City is upon us. Classic choral works, African rhythms, and foot-stumping Afropop at the Joburg Theatre. 18 to 21 June. Book now on bbchoir.com. See you there. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, it's 8 after 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the Talking Point. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be looking into Citizens Corner, and our show this morning is going to focus on the EPWP project. This in particular, a project that is run in different parts of the country, and it provides work opportunities for not only young people, but for mainly unemployed people. Now, there have been some difficulties noted with this project, particularly when it comes to one particular service provider, and we'll be getting into what has been happening and why it is that there have been delays with payments there. Before we get into it, some of your WhatsApp voice notes from the open line.
Hashtag SFM Talking Point.
Good morning, Cathy. This is Makwara Shinyazo from Toyando. You know what, Cathy? This war between Iran and Israel will escalate and may also lead to a World War III. You know? But the biggest problem I have is that where are the Arab countries? We don't see them. They are very silent. We don't see them strongly condemning what the Israel is doing. You know, they are nowhere to be seen. The only person we hear about is Donald Trump's making threats against Iran. And it is true that USA is going to continue helping Israel to further destroy Iran. But where are the Arab countries to help their allies? You know, it shows there's cowardness.
Good morning, Sis Cathy. This is Siseko Anthony Peter from Orange Farm. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mamelodi Sundowns for winning their first game. And then what a great message by Kaiser Motaung. Today I want to talk about the war which is happening between Iran and Israel. You know, innocent people, they are dying, Sis Cathy. Why can't the leaders, they come together and stop that war? Because people, they are dying because of their leaders. And there are children there who don't know anything. They are dying because of their leaders. Please, man, Sis Cathy, we must pray very, very, very hard to stop this war. Thank you very much. This is Seko Anthony Peter.
Good morning, Sis Cathy. It's Kaya in Kabach. Sis Cathy, hospitals, they treat people like that. I know the experience, having been there with my wife. First of all, they want to isolate patients to ensure that they do whatever they do, being rude and whatsoever. But if a person is accompanied, for example, in my case and my wife, if I accompany my wife, the nurses are normal, they act normal. But the moment my wife goes to hospital alone, the nurses have this negative attitude towards her. So I don't know whether there is a policy from the hospitals whereby they say patients must be alone. Patients must be alone. That's when the problem starts. That's my view.
How's Cathy, my princess? Are you well? Are you well, Cathy? Great show always. It's good to hear your voice. It's Uncle JJ, the truck driver in Gauteng. Cathy, would you please invite us Minister of Labor or of Bargaining Council? We need to know. Because there's a company which is abusing drivers in Bloemfontein. It's a well-known company, big company. But drivers can't have the voice. It's hiring and firing every day. What is that? And it's being protected by Bloemfontein Bargaining Council. It's biased. Please, Cathy, do so.
Morning, Cathy and SA listeners. If you are still under this ANC leadership, we are going nowhere, because these nurses and all these workers, public workers, are protected by union. They do whatever they like. Sorry for this lady. Thank you, Cathy.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
Have you bought your Lotto Plus 1 and Lotto Plus 2 tickets for the mind-blowing 109 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Wednesday? Don't delay. Play Lotto for an estimated 78 million rand, Lotto Plus 1 for 18 million rand, and Lotto Plus 2 for 13 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
I noticed that the Capitec CEO, Cathy Mohlahlana, he's called on South Africa to, rethink how we get our numbers right with regard to unemployment, the metric, right? What do you make of it?
Would you like to believe that, Ashraf? That South Africa has a 10% unemployment rate? You must be falling from the moon. I mean, when a random businessman comes and dabbles in systems that he doesn't understand, it's tragic, especially a successful businessman like himself, who actually feeds off the money of blacks, who suffer this high unemployment rate.
Dr. Cathy Mohlahlana, he's the former statistician general.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Well, for Citizens Corner this morning, we look at government's expanded public works program. It's meant to provide temporary work opportunities for unemployed people. Now, some of the calls we've been receiving are from individuals who have been part of a project, particularly in Gauteng, but have not been paid regularly. Just yesterday, we received a voice note from from a number of individuals who say that they had not been paid, and also claimed that the company that they were contracted to had not been paying them regularly. Let me play this voice note that will set the context for us, and then welcome the guest that will be joining us.
Story sa rona ke gore ne re berekela company it's under ke GMK lebitso la company, so program ke re ma EPWP, so program ke under Nasi Ispani ya Panyas. So we've been working for this company for 1 year. No yana le renewal di contract go di fedile ka ntwena ka March. So the problem fana ke taba ya payment a re gole ka nako, so no yana re fana re tlo strike re strikela tšhelete ya rona, stipend sa rona ka which stipend sa rona ke 3,080 rand, and then mo 3,080 rand ba re gogela UIF, which is I think ke 30 rand UIF ya teng. So no yana re fana re tlo strikela taba ya tšhelete ya rona, a ba re fe dikarabo ba re department a isentse tšhelete. Why else re ne re tswa department on Friday ba re tse tšhelete e tswile. A re fitla fana they are not addressing us go gotsagala eng, and then ba bangwe ba renewile di contract tsa bone ka March ba nka April, which is supposed gore re boetse mosebetsing go rotlhe ka April, ka di first tsa April re renew for 5 months. So re fana, so we need help because khale re bua le department, khale re bua le batho ba relevant, so these people are not helping us. We feel that we ba protect the company, a ba re thuse ka sepe, these people that are protecting the company, so we need help as I believe.
All right, so that there is a message from Anonymous. She talks about how they've been contracted to GMK Civils and that they have not been getting paid. There've been difficulties with their payment. They held a protest, but none of the management was available. Nobody arrived to receive their memorandum or even explain why it is they were experiencing this late payment. Lennox Mabasa is Communications and National Spokesperson for the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Lennox joins us on the line. Mr. Mabasa, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, listening.
Mr. Ignatius Ario is the Chief Director, EPWP Infrastructure Sector at the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Ignatius, good morning to you.
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners.
And Lisiba Mpia is the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport spokesperson. He'll be specifically dealing with the issue of JMK civils. Lisiba, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cathy. Good morning to the listeners.
Let me thank all of you for making time to be part of this conversation. So the example here that we have is of JMK civils. We don't have on record the number of EPWP workers that they would have taken on. But as you heard there, it was part of the Nasispani project. Many of these young people that have been employed there have been with this particular entity for the past year. Lisiba, let me begin with you and give you an opportunity to respond to what you know or understand to have been happening when it comes to the payment of these participants of the program, and why it is that they are not being paid, or even why they have to go through periods of non-payment.
Thank you very much once again for the opportunity. And I think as a department, let's start by apologizing to the workers, the EPWP workers, their families.
Lisiba, I'm going to ask you to try and move around, or if we're on Bluetooth, if you can please switch that. We're struggling to hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes. It's slightly better, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Apologies for that. Let's start by apologizing to the EPWP workers as a department, also to their families for the impact this non-payment has had on their lives for the few past months. But I think just to give context, there was a dispute between GMK as well as their session partner, as well as accusations of funds mismanagement, which would have led to not only non-payments of the workers, but also non-payments to their suppliers, their creditors, with respect to the previous payment certificates. The issues that have been resolved yesterday morning, I have received from the team POEs that the EPWP workers have been reported to have been paid. Coincidentally, as you were planning for this matter, the department was giving it a lot of attention. But the issues, as I said, have been resolved. And in light of the fact that the risks that the GMK would have been paid, but not pay the EPWP workers, we had to withhold payments until such time that certainty was given to us as a department that the EPWP interests were protected. So the session company partners has been in process as far back as last week to process the payments in different bank accounts, and we can confirm that as from yesterday, all the EPWP workers would have been paid.
What is the dispute that had taken place between yourselves and GMK Civils? Because just before coming on air, we received a statement from GMK which acknowledges that there has been a delay with the project. They describe it as internal matters between project stakeholders. They describe it also as having been issues beyond GMK's direct control. They also go on to describe it as unfortunate that operational and contractual hurdles result in the department withholding payment to the detriment of workers.
Yeah, it's exactly what I am explaining to say. We had a certain project where the site contractor would have also left sites. And, coincidentally, this contractor was appointed in another project. And in the previous sites that they had abandoned, we had to terminate them. So in this instance, they would have signed a session. And I suppose that in their statement, as they reflect that, the operational issues are as a result to the relationship they have with them and the SESO, the people that they have signed the session with. I would probably assume that it's cash flow issues. That is why they would have signed the session. But our intervention would have been, we are the ones that facilitate payment certificates, and because we want EPWP workers to be their interest to be taken up, we have got to be given confidence as a department by the company which we have a relationship with, and perhaps also from the CESO, that upon paying them, the first priority would be the EPWP workers. And upon receiving that certainty, it is then that we release those particular funds. But the withholding of those funds was as a result of ensuring that with respect to the operational difficulties, challenges they have, what is of paramount importance is to ensure that the EPWP workers are paid first, and then their creditors would then follow. And I think, hence I said that our due diligence this morning and yesterday do give us an indication that the workers have been paid. We would know that perhaps maybe the only technical thing would be that they have different bank accounts, and perhaps maybe if from one bank account to the same bank account to the other, it would be effective immediately. But also there will be a technical wait if at all the bank account is different. But we can surely and take the public into confidence that they have been paid from as far back as yesterday.
So Lisiba, what has this company been contracted to do?
So this company has been contracted. We have a panel of contractors called the RIFCA, Road Infrastructure Framework of South Africa. They are contracted with grass cutting, litter picking, and the scope also involves technical aspects such as milling, light and heavy road maintenance. They are contracted with that. But I think in as far as the EPWP are concerned, it could be that their scope of work is limited to litter picking as well as grass cutting.
And I'm just wondering now how the issues that the company is having, whether with cash flow, you alluded earlier to mismanagement of funds, to what extent does that impact the efficiency of the program itself, especially for the participants, for those who have been employed under the EPWP program?
Because it's cash flow prudence, financial prudence in any business has a positive or negative, has a positive impact. But mismanagement has a very negative impact on operations in its entirety. That also involves human capital. When we appoint, the procurement processes are very stringent. So companies would have to prove that they have the necessary muscle to carry the project through. But through the project, as we give them an appointment and during the life of the project and they go under, it becomes extremely difficult then as a department, because we now are having contractual objectives and obligations with them. We obviously take them through processes of putting them on terms when they are unable to perform. But once there's financial mismanagement, it becomes very, very, very difficult for operations, and ultimately it impacts on the labor force and the human capital within that particular institution.
Yeah, I guess, Lisiba, what I'm also concerned about is what value the EPWP workers will be getting out of this program in particular, and to what extent these issues that the company is facing, which are operational and financial, to what extent those issues are affecting the ability of these employees effectively to do what it is that they've been employed for.
Yeah, look, Cathy, you see, when it impacts on operation, it also means that because part of the scope of the contract is that they must be able to transport the workers. So if at all there's mismanagement, the first impact is that it also has a negative ripple effect on your ability to transport, to get them the tools of trade, to keep them, to keep their welfare. So as I say, that that on its own has a negative impact. But when we withheld the funds, it was being proactive, it was contingent from our part, so that we ensure that when we pay the company, other creditors are not going to be prioritized over the well-being of the workers. I think that's where we made an intervention.
So effectively,
that is why we said
so effectively, while you've been able to safeguard, the fact that these workers must be paid, you don't know right now whether they're going out every day, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
No, we do monitor. We do have monitors on site. We do know when the project is performing or not. But I'm saying that
and what is the status then of this project? Are they performing or not?
Yes, currently the project has been performing. The contract is due for it's coming to an end. I think end of November. But these workers are raising very genuine issues that they have been pitching up on work. However, their hard and remuneration has not been coming forward.
Okay. I'm going to pause it there with you for now. When we continue, we hear then from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure.
On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good morning. Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane says her department is in the process of assessing land for the relocation of families displaced by floods in Tata. The parents of a 22-year-old psychiatric patient have questioned the safety of patients at the Mahikeng Provincial Hospital in the northwest after their son allegedly escaped from the hospital's psychiatric ward, and whether the IEC should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's two-day symposium kicking off in Durban today. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 17 rand 98 to the dollar, 24 rand 19 to the pound, and 20 rand 70 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mixed at the closing bell. The JSE is mainly lower in mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are currently trading higher. Gold is trading at $3,386, platinum $1,273 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $76.19 a barrel.
Think you cannot afford a lawyer? Think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Mzansi, have you bought your Lotto Plus 1 and Lotto Plus 2 tickets for the mind-blowing 109 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Wednesday? Don't delay. Play Lotto for an estimated 78 million rand. Lotto Plus 1 for 18 million rand and Lotto Plus 2 for 13 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
This Youth Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit, power, and potential of young South Africans. Join us as we dive into conversations that matter, from innovation to education and skills for the changing world. Empowering youth for meaningful economic participation. Because at SAFM, we're not just talking, we're leading the conversations that move us.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, we continue our conversation on Citizens Corner. We're looking into the EPWP program. Joining us for this conversation is also Lennox Mabaso, Communications and National Spokesperson at the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and Ignatius Ario, who's the Chief Director in the same department. So, Ignatius, maybe if I can start with you. We've heard what has happened with this particular project in Gauteng. How is it supposed to work? The process of appointing these service providers and what it entails for those that have recruited to the program, what then their scope of work becomes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Cathy. The way it's supposed to work is that if a department wants to implement EPWP, they need to decide, a department or a municipality, they need to decide whether they are going to implement the project in-house or they are going to outsource. In other words, if they are going to use contractors and consultants, external contractors and consultants. So in this case, the department decided to outsource the implementation of the project. So they had to go on procurement, or they're supposed to go through a normal procurement process and then be able to appoint an appropriate contractor to implement EPWP. They have to appoint contractors who have experience in labor-based or labor-intensive methods of construction, so that as the projects are implemented, they can be able to create job opportunities or work opportunities. So as part of the recruitment process, the department then is supposed to do due diligence that the company that is appointed has the capacity to implement, they have the technical capacity to implement the project, but also they have the financial resources to be able to implement the project. And also their price should have been cost effective. Just because the project is EPWP does not mean that it should not be done according to proper specifications, but also then the company is supposed to ensure that the workers are paid on time, and the company then raises, or the way it works, they raise invoices with the department or municipality, and then they are supposed to be paid within a 30-day period, and then they in turn pay their workers. So that's how it's supposed to work. There are not supposed to be delays in terms of payments to the workers on site.
So effectively, when you look at the cash position of these service providers, they should be able to meet the obligations of paying these workers at the end of the month without necessarily relying solely on the money that the department or the municipality would be paying for those salaries.
Yes, that is correct.
You spoke about technical expertise that that was also needed in as far as being a company that could implement this project is concerned. Speak to us about what those technical expertise are.
Okay, so typically you should have a contractor that is accredited in terms of the EPWP. They should have at least NQF level 4 in labor-intensive methods of construction. They should be able to implement projects. So depending on the value of the project, there are different construction industry grades, whether it's grade 1, grade 2, or grade 5, or up to grade 9. It depends on the value of the project that is being implemented. And then in addition to that, they're supposed to have a competence in terms of labor-intensive methods of construction. Because if you're going to do EPWP, you're supposed to have proper supervision of your workers. You're supposed to be able to identify what scope of work can be done using labor, so that you increase the number of people who can be employed on a project. Yeah, so that's how it works. There are different activities like excavation and things like that, where you could use labor where feasible, instead of using equipment, so that you increase the number of people from the community who can be employed.
So are there particular red flags perhaps that arise for you hearing what has happened in Gauteng, particularly in as far as it relates to GMK civils?
Yes, there are red flags in terms of the delays of payments. It is a red flag. If the workers are not paid on time, if they're having persistent complaints about delays in payment, it is a red flag. So one has to track back and check, were they paid? Was the contractor paid in time? Are they raising their certificates for payment in time? Those are red flags.
Lennox, let me give you an opportunity to come in here and perhaps also add to the conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Cathy and the listeners. Look, I think what I want to say is that this program of PWP, it is an important arsenal to address the plight of poverty, particularly for many of our poor communities. We are using this program to improve service delivery through the repair of roads, gas cutting, and environmental cleaning. But it is an important stopgap opportunity to the many people that are caught in the cycle of poverty by offering part-time employment. What is evident from this particular case, though, is that the program is ripe for reform now. That is why, for instance, our minister, Mr. Dean McPherson, has been, I think last week on Friday, he's been embarking on a roadshow of a listening tour campaign on EPWP, listening to beneficiaries and people that have participated, to say to them, listen to them and their stories, how the program has worked, check them, how far are they in terms of the progress, how they benefited from the program. We can tell you that last week, Friday, the listening tour was in Gauteng. We held it in Gauteng. We had over 3,000 participants. We're listening to the beneficiaries speaking for themselves, telling us what are the red flags. And some of the red flags that they are raising is exactly cases like this one, but there's also the issue of the exit strategy. There are many that participated, and for instance, they were left hanging somewhere, and after continuing their part-time, they couldn't get maybe a certificate and other things to progress. But also there are many positive stories that we're picking up. We have thriving enterprises arising from people that started from EPWP, and they are now manufacturing bricks and providing suppliers. Others are professionals that graduated to become to offer various professional services in the sectors they are into, the environment or infrastructure. So they are a mixed bag. But what the minister has said is that, look, there is a need now to review it 20 years later, because the program is 20 years old. And in the 20 years of its existence, it has provided 14 million work opportunities. In the next 5 years, it is set to create 5 million work opportunities. So how we implement it across the country, we must make it more impactful. It must be able to be transformational in that it must lead to skills development. It must also contribute to sustainable infrastructure delivery, but it must also be sustainable in terms of enterprises. Like, for instance, if you look at one of our flagship projects of EPWP, which is the Working on Fire, many people don't think that is an EPWP program. It is going out to assist even in countries, many developed worlds in the U.S. when they are facing challenges with fire, because through the EPWP, we are able to build the skills and build the capacity and make the program stand alone and be able to represent us as a nation. So what we are saying is that these listening tours are going to result into a revamped and reloaded EPWP program, where a number of these challenges are addressed, and people that are participants will less experience suffering like what has happened with this particular case that we are dealing with of the GMK.
Ignatius, when it comes to the reporting flows, speak to us about how that works from a national level, because you've got, I imagine, all sorts of projects that are running in municipalities, as you said, in provinces. How do you ultimately get to, number one, know what is happening, and number two, be able to assess the quality of what is happening, and when Lennox talks about, the fact that it's been 20 years of the EPWP program, at some point, then there also has to be some form of review about how the project has been working and if it has been working at all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So the first question I'll answer, the one on how do we do reporting. So the way reporting is done is that we have an EPWP reporting system, which is web-based. And that web-based system is accessible across the country. And what happens then is that when a public body, a municipality or provincial department is implementing a project, they register their project on that reporting system. And their requirements in terms of the reporting system, you would have to put the budget of the project, you'd have to put expenditure, you'd also have to put information about participants on the project. And public bodies are expected to update that on a monthly basis. For every participant that is recorded on EPWP, there's supposed to be a certified ID copy, there's supposed to be proof of payment, there's supposed to be an attendance register, and there's supposed to be the contract as well. So on our system, that is then uploaded onto the system. Currently on the system, what we upload is the certified ID copies of each participant, and then we also have the proof of payment. Every public body is supposed to keep records of these four requirements for every participant in files, which are then audited by the AG. Now, once the reporting, when we come to a particular quarter, we then consolidate the information that is on the system. For example, for each participant, we do a cross-check with the Home Affairs. We have a linkage with their system. We ensure that all the IDs that have been captured are valid IDs. We do checks on the data. That makes sure that the information that we are reporting is authentic. We also do project site visits. So the team from national and province, we do project site visits. We sample projects and write reports about the projects that are on site. If there are any issues, we give feedback to public bodies to say, we visited your site, this is what we've picked up. Maybe the records don't tally, or maybe you can improve on this and that in terms of your project. So that is part of the monitoring we do. And also the Auditor General also samples projects from the EPWP, where they check that for all the numbers that we report, there is information that is backing up the reporting that has been done. So that is how we do our monitoring. We produce reports on a quarterly basis. On our reporting system, a public body is able to generate a report at any time on a daily basis. You can go and tap onto our system if one has access to be able to tell how many participants have. Yes.
Okay.
And then just one, yeah.
Go ahead very briefly, please.
Very brief. The other thing we do is that we do evaluations on the EPWP for phases 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done midterm evaluations on EPWP, so there are midterm evaluations that are done. And for every next phase, we always do the next phase after considering what was in the evaluation report. So there's continual evaluation on EPWP to look at impact, but also to pick up whether the project is being implemented according to design.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me bring in some of our listeners who've been tuned into this program, and also those that have been affected by the non-payment. Anonymous, good morning to you.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Go for it, Anonymous. What do you want to speak about?
Yeah, I'm so angry. I'm so angry at these people. The way they treat us. This payment thing is not the one thing off that is happening now. It's been happening so long. Every time when they're supposed to pay us, we always have to strike for our money. We are working hard for this money. We can walk 20 kilometers doing litter picking. We work for this money. Come month end, we have to fight for our money again. You know, there's a lot that isn't happening. They deduct our UIF. They are not but you are not registered at LAID. There's a lot of abusing that's happening with these companies. They are abusing people. They take advantage of these people. We're supposed to renew our contract on the 1st of April. We're supposed to renew our contract on the 1st of April, but that doesn't happen. They send us the message that only few people will be renewed. How so? We fight for to get those answers until we go back to work. Even now, they say they did the payment. We are still going. Others are still going to get the short payment, and this is started. We're supposed to get 3,080 rand. So there's a lot that's been going on. There's a lot of red flag that is going on with this company.
All right,
and
Anonymous, I want Lisiba to come in to respond to that. Lisiba, you heard what Anonymous has said.
Yes, absolutely. We are taking note of what the issues that she's raising. But what we can assure Anonymous is that what is due to the employers, we have received a portfolio of evidence on what is due to the workers, and these payments have been effected.
Yeah, but she's saying that it's not the first time that they haven't been paid. She says this is what happens every time they have to get paid. Surely that is a problem.
Yes, absolutely. Cathy, I said at the beginning of the interview that this is a contractor who has a very bad reputation with the department. Actually, we have various other contractors who are not behaving in the same manner. We are taking note of how the workers are raising issues. We have terminated the contractor in one of the projects before. Coincidentally, and I think to the misfortune of the department, the contractor had already been appointed on this very project. And what makes matters worse, what throws the spanner in the works, is that the contractor would have also gone on a session and which demonstrate that there's serious fiscal and financial issues in the department. If there are accusations of mismanagement with the it takes us aback as a department.
So why not terminate? Why not terminate the contract this time around?
Yes, of course. That's why we say that in terms of the contractual obligations, we have put them on terms. Okay, that's what is recourse for us, and putting them on terms simply means that. And I did say that the contract is also running its course towards the end of the year. We are clearly given a heads up on the conduct of the contractor, particularly the conduct that they are displaying towards their own employees, which we do not accept as a department.
Okay. Hence, I'm going to have to pause you there. We're going to continue this conversation in a moment. I'll bring in more of our listeners who want to share their experiences with the EPWP program.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Tension and drama will go above the rooftop as the believers want to play in the Big Boys League, while the citizens say they are used to life in Mzansi's elite league. This is the PSL promotional playoffs. Catch Cashrick Stars versus Cape Town City this Saturday, 21 June at 2:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Also available at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
All right, we continue the conversation on Citizens Corner looking at the EPWP program and some of the challenges being faced, particularly in Gauteng. Peter, you're in Kempton Park. Good morning.
How are you, Katie?
Good, Peter. Go for it.
Yes, I just have a suggestion and I just have a resolution maybe that I can say. In Kreslon, Kempton Park, we are under the program. So we are affected by some of the taxi organizations there. They've stopped the project from running. Is there anything that can be done from the government side? And secondly, most of us are not getting paid. So is it possible for the department to pay us directly instead of the EPWE paying us? And then maybe yeah, that's all.
Peter,
That's the only suggestion.
what reasons are being given by the members of the taxi industry who are stopping you
They
from
didn't-
doing your work?
They didn't give us any reasons. They just said because we are building we are building a station next to a bus station next to where the station is, the taxi rank is. So they just halted everything and just said.
And
"You must
and
stop what
how
you're
long
doing."
have you been unable to work for?
Today I didn't go to work. It's been more than a week.
Okay.
Since we stopped working.
How long have you been part of the project for?
I've been part of the project maybe for 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a
And
new
and
project
and
that's
and and
been
and,
closed off.
and in all the 3 months that you've been there, you've had a difficulty getting paid every month.
Yes. We've been having difficulties because maybe the money will stop. They won't pay us maybe for 2 months. And then when you're not expecting, they just pay you. So it's been a problem. That's why personally I suggest: is it possible that they can open a portal for us? That maybe we can register and then put our banking details, and then maybe the department will pay us directly for
Okay.
our work.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
the only suggestion.
All right, Peter, thanks for that. Anonymous, good morning. You also want to contribute to this conversation.
Morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well. Go for it.
I'm also well. I would like to ask the department: are they aware that we at GMK we signed our contract on the 2nd of October, 2020, 2025, 2023, but we did not get paid for that October. But Friday, when one of our participants was asking questions, they know that we got paid for that. So I believe, and I and my group, we believe that if the department can just change the face, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of issues. It's not only the money. There's no transport even now. People are waiting on the stop sign to come. They come with a machine to come and clock. If you are late by 5 minutes, they make you absent. But if they are late, you clock around 11 o'clock. It's fine with them. They don't work with people very well.
Would you say that you have been given the tools that you need to be able to function effectively? What is the state of operations right now?
Right now, since we started, they renew our contract. There's no transport. Since before April actually, since March, there was no transport. Now we're waiting on the stop sign. There are people that are saying, I think, like let me say for example, Extension 7, they have to walk from that side to the main road, R28, where there was raining yesterday. So wait there for our rep to come from Glenhazy to come and clock. They can clock after 12, they can clock 1 o'clock. So I want to know, if they make you absent in 5 minutes, what is the process that they are following? And one other thing, one of our drivers used to charge our group for petrol to transport them to home. They used to charge them 500, whereas the department is sending money for transport. They charge them extra because that guy was staying the same location with them. He said they can't go with the transport.
So Anonymous, how often are you able to actually go to the sites that you're supposed to go to do what you need to do?
When they call you. Because since this time, there's been a lot of mistakes. When they call you, come to the site, you come to the site. Like yesterday, the site was closed. That's why people were angry and burning the tires on the R28, which is the national road. That's right. The site was closed. People, even on March, they took our admin. They went and worked in COJ. They closed the site. You understand what I'm saying? So if they say come to the site, you can walk more than 30 days to come to work. My issue here is the department is aware that they charge people for transport. But our department is saying for us for transport to go to work or to go to the certain area that we are supposed to work there. They charge people extra. On the stipend of 3,050 rand, they take another 500 for transport. It's not fair.
All right, Anonymous, thanks for raising that. On the line is Lefa. Lefa, I don't have your surname, but I understand you are from GMK Civils. It's not a good look right now on your organization. It seems that there have been some significant failures here and very bad treatment of the EPWP workers. What do you have to say for yourselves? Hello, Lifa.
Hello, how are you?
Well, thank you, Lifa.
I'm fine, thanks. I hear, we've been listening, I've heard all the issues. But now, on our end, our issue that we have is that the department hasn't paid us. And that's why we are saying this now live on the radio station. The department has not paid us. It's not, we've sent the invoice about 3 to 4 weeks back. It's still going up and down. We haven't received any payments. The same thing happened in April, whereby we actually had to end up paying them. So, currently the department hasn't paid us.
But Lisiba from the Department of Roads and Transport has said that you were paid just yesterday.
Yesterday for May. We were paid yesterday for May.
He says you were paid all outstanding balances.
For May is my question. How are you paying us yesterday for May? Yesterday it's mid-June. How are you paying us yesterday for May?
So for how backdated are these invoices?
No, end of May.
So you haven't been paid for end of May?
We haven't been paid for end of May. Even currently when you say...
Okay, all right. Lisiba, come in, please. When you said they were paid, what did you mean?
So let me clarify this, Cathy. The payment that were done, we did say that we had deliberately withheld payments because there were issues raised when the contractor was not paying EPWP. We took issue with the contractor.
Okay, Lisiba.
So they take us into conflict.
Lisiba, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to ask all of our guests to please stay on the line with me. We are going to have to extend this conversation into the next hour, which will be the 11 o'clock. For now, it's time for me to go to the latest news update.
Thank you, Cathy. On the top stories, consumer inflation remains unchanged and efforts to house Mthatha flood victims. For SAFM News, I am Onde Lambana and a very good morning. Annual consumer inflation in South Africa has remained unchanged at 2.8% in May. This follows a slight uptick in April, up from 2.7% recorded in March. Stats SA has released the data showing that the only category contributing to the 0.2% monthly increase to the CPI was food and non-alcoholic beverages. Chief Director for Price Statistics, Patrick Kelly, says the monthly change to the food and non-alcoholic beverages index was 1.1%, following a 1.3% rise in April.
The annual rate for the category increased to 4.8% from 4% in April, the highest print since March 2024, when the rate was 5.1%. Let's dive deeper into this. Meat, and specifically beef, is a key factor behind the rise in food inflation.
Human Settlements Minister Thembi Simelane says her department is in the process of assessing land for the relocation of families displaced by floods in Mthatha. Simelane began her 3-day visit to the Eastern Cape yesterday, where devastating floods have claimed the lives of at least 90 people and left thousands displaced. Mthatha, which is the worst affected area in the province, has been declared a disaster zone. Simelane says finding the appropriate space for temporary housing units has been challenging.
Land parcels are not available from government. We are still checking the register of National Public Works So far we have got 2 private land, not yet assessed, but we will put a temporary residential units. Our NHBRC team is on the ground helping us to assess the buildings which were partially damaged, so that we, on that phase, the policy says you could issue a grant really of upper 12,000 per family so that they can get building material.
The parents of a 22-year-old psychiatric patient have questioned the safety of patients at the Mahikeng Provincial Hospital in the northwest after their son allegedly escaped from the hospital psychiatric ward. They are demanding answers, and the hospital also failed to inform them about the incident. Ruetepile Lefifi was found by residents near the hospital in hospital's patients' clothing and called the hospital before alerting his family about his escape through social media. Ruetepile's father, Advice Lefifi, says they were horrified to learn about his whereabouts on social media.
I was not even informed that the boy has escaped. I was only asked there after I've noticed the WhatsApp all over on the social media. I was only informed after I've noticed the WhatsApp. And then I was asked by the nurse to say, asking me if the boy is not at home. My response to the lady, I've said, I'm not expecting that kind of a question from them as the clinicians, because I left the boy in their hands, hoping that he's safe in their hands. To my surprise, they called me and asked me if the boy is not at home.
Meanwhile, spokesperson for the Northwest Health Department, Tsegofatso Mutibedi, has conceded that the patient had escaped under their care.
He was admitted at a 72-hour observation unit. In this instance, the patient was among those that damaged the cameras before also going through the ceiling and then jumped the fence. We managed to recover the patient, and the patient was brought back to our facilities, but we can confirm that there was a substantial damage to our facility because they had damaged the ceiling and the roofing and then jumped the fence.
Whether the IEC should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's 2-day symposium kicking off in Durban today. The event will reflect on the challenges and successes of the Political Party Funding Act since its implementation in 2021. The Act aims to regulate the public and private funding of political parties to improve transparency and accountability, as well as avoid capture. The IEC's George Mahlangu says the decision on how to improve the manner in which the Act operates lies with the public and their representatives, giving insight in terms of international best practice.
In other countries, there are 2 separate institutions. There's an institution that does the registration of political parties and the political funding. And then there's an EMB which does elections and elections only. Now, in that instances, you find that the political parties that transgress the law get disregistered by the body that registered them initially. Now, in our case, at the moment, the political parties didn't register with political funding unit, but they registered with the electoral operations through the Electoral Act. Now, if they transgress the law, is political funding unit the right unit to deregister a political party?
Japan and South Korea have expressed concern at the ever closer military ties between Russia and North Korea. Seoul has said the deployment of more North Korean troops to Russia is a clear violation of the UN sanctions. Yesterday, the North Korean government promised to send thousands of mine-clearing troops and builders to Russia's Kursk region. Recapping the top story, annual consumer inflation in South Africa has remained unchanged at 2.8% in May. This follows a slight uptick in April, up from 2.7% recorded in March. I am Ondela for SFM News Headlines at 11:30.
Specsavers Audiology, South Africa's largest audiology group, brings you the all-new Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aids. Experience cutting-edge features at a price you can afford. For a limited time only, buy 1 Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aid and get 50% off the second. You heard right, buy 1 and get 50% off the second. Visit specsavers.co.za to find your nearest store and ask for Clarity Pro today. Specsavers Audiology. Test your hearing and join the conversation. T's and C's apply. We love rating things, our phones, our cars, but our health? Your health lets you do what you love with the people you love. So who are you staying healthy for, and how can you improve your health? Choose Dis-Chem Life, the life cover that helps you live a healthier, more rewarding, longer life
with regular health checks. Visit discamlife.co.za now. Discam Life. Choose a better partner for life. Discam Life is an authorized FSP 50594, underwritten by Guard Risk Life, a licensed life insurer, FSP 76. T's and C's apply.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
It's a tough day for Mark. Tight deadlines and challenges everywhere. But Mark can rest easy, because when he bought his Hino 700 2845 truck tractor, he received a complimentary service plan covering up to 210,000 kilometers for short haul and up to 280,000 kilometers for long haul. Nice one, Mark. Visit your dealer today to find out more about this limited time offer. Hino, all the way. T's and C's apply.
The reigning champions Banyana Banyana and 11 African national teams are ready to tackle each other for WAFCON 2024 to determine who are the real queens of the continent. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Experience the Women Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024 from 5 to 26 July 2025. Streaming live on SABC Plus, SABC 1 and SABC 2. Also available on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Well, we continue the conversation on the Talking Point. It's 10 after 11. Welcome to the third and final hour of the show. So we've had to move things around just for this hour so that we can continue the conversation we've been having. Our focus for Citizens Corner today has been around the EPWP program, certain complaints emerging, specifically coming out of Gauteng when it comes to participants in the program, complaining that they have not been paid, complaining about how they have been treated by the service provider. In this instance, the service provider is GMK Civils. The department has already put on record that this is the Gauteng department, that this particular service provider was paid yesterday and that all of the workers should be paid to date. Now, we had extended the invite to GMK Civils yesterday to be part of the conversation. They opted not to. We received a statement from them just before coming on air today, and now we have one of their representatives, Lefa, who is on the line. Also part of this conversation is the Chief Director EPWP Infrastructure Sector at the National Department of Public Works. Lennox Mabasa is the Communications and National Spokesperson for the same department. So just before we went to news then, Lisiba, to backtrack, Lefa from GMK Civils was denying the fact that they had been paid, as you had earlier told us on the show. So you were clarifying what has happened. He says they still have not received payment from the department for May. You were clarifying that point. So let me ask the question again. Have they been paid for May or not?
So I was making a point to say that we would have, made an assertion that as part of withholding part of their payments was to insulate and protect their workers. But to respond to the question, yes, they did get paid, and I think Lefa also confirmed that they did get paid. However, for a specific month of the end of May, it is the payment that was not done. What it doesn't say is that the invoice, because it indicated specific risks, the agent, the consultant, the professional services on site stopped that invoice. So the invoice was resubmitted yesterday, and we signed it as resubmitted yesterday. So it is disingenuous for Lefa, who knows the channels of communication between themselves and us, to come on air and to accuse us of not having had paid them, whereas they know very well that they would have submitted a faulty invoice that we would have picked up as risky.
What were the risks? What were the risks, Lisiba?
So we indicated that part of the risk that we were picking up was the fact that they do not, pay the EPWP workers. That is why we were insulating and withholding their particular payments. But with this particular invoice, the risk that was picked up by the agent on site was particularly on the invoice. And on the invoice, it would indicate work that was done vis-a-vis what we are supposed to be paying. And we found that was not in line. That's why they needed to correct that particular invoice. So those are the risks that we were picking up as a department. But I'm putting it on record to say they have not been paying EPWP workers. We took particular steps to insulate and as a contingency measure to say we can't continue having a situation where EPWP workers are complaining they are not being paid for what they are due, and we then withheld the payment so that we can fix the issue of the EPWP workers. And I must say that the suggestions that are made here on air by EPWP workers, I think they are in good faith, as opposed of coming in bad faith and wanting to put the point across to say, shift blame and say it is as a result of the department. It is not so.
Lifa, firstly, if we can go back to what is your position within GMK Civils?
I'm the manager at GMK Civils.
You're the manager, okay.
Yes.
If we look at what the department has said, so far it seems that GMK Civils is actually part of the problem, that you are a service provider that, number one, has not been doing what you have been contracted to do, that you have problems within your organization, you have problems managing your cash flow, and this is part of what has resulted in these workers not being paid and in the department withholding its payment to you.
I can't speak on any of that, but I can tell you what I know regarding payment. For me, it comes out as it comes out as because I've never, because I hear Mr. Lesiba saying that I said we got paid. I've never said we've gotten paid. I never, not once did I ever say we've received the money. But it comes out as an act of it looks like it's sabotage because the owner of the company has been numerously sending emails to the department and not receiving any form of communication. All the things that he's been saying right now, we know nothing about it. It's the first time we're actually hearing all this information that Mr. Lesiba is communicating.
So Lifa, are you saying that you have not been paid at all? That that all of the payments that are outstanding from the department have not come through to you?
No, they have not. Currently, as we are sitting here right now, the payment of the department has not come through.
So you haven't been paid over the last what? When was the last time you received payment from the department?
The last time we received money was actually in, I think it was mid-May, but that was for April. So you see, we do get issues with late payments with the department, but then they normally communicate, because I hear the people saying they normally get their monies late, yes, but they normally communicate. The department normally, they have issues and they're like, yeah, we'll pay you in 2 days or whatever. But this happened also in April, whereby we had to go and take a loan to end up paying the EPWPs, whereby they paid our April invoice mid-May. Currently, EPWPs have been paid today, but by a loan again, not by the money that the department has paid us. So we're sitting here right now. The department has not paid us.
All right. Lisiba?
And if they do pay us, it takes days to reflect. They can't say they paid us yesterday or today and it's reflected.
Yeah, look, Lisiba, it's become a case of he said, she said here. I guess the only thing that's really going to prove what's really happening is to see the actual evidence of the proof of payments, credible, legitimate proof of payments to know that this payment has actually been done.
Yeah, quite correct. We are also not interested in the back and forth conversation of he said, I said. I think what we can do as a department is to really put portfolio of evidence to say where they have performed work and submitted payment certificates, indeed they have. Outside of the contingency measures that we took, and we have communicated to say, at some point, yes, we did withhold their payment certificate as a result of them not paying EPWP workers. We mitigated on that risk. But as I said yesterday, they did submit an invoice. We signed it off as submitted yesterday. It is an invoice that was returned, which is an invoice that's supposed to be paying for their work that they have done in May.
Okay.
So if he says that the department would have at any point paid them, I don't think that is very far from the truth.
Lifa, we're also dealing here with the other issue, which is that the department withheld those payments because of how you as a service provider have been managing your project. I really want you to reflect on that for me, because it is critical to why we're having this conversation in the first place.
That's fine, but we are also, who did they communicate that with? Who did they communicate that with? The owner of the company knows nothing of that. And he's been sending emails and communicating with the department, trying to find out what is happening. So we don't have a problem with that, but who did they communicate it?
But so you acknowledge the fact that...
And my main issue is that this is actually burning a lot, because the back and I understand the back and forth, but this is actually burning a lot of people, including myself. I'm also affected, including suppliers, including the poor EPWPs. I also feel very sorry for them. I honestly do feel very sorry for them, but they're withholding the payment.
How do you explain the previous instances where you have been paid, but EPWP workers have not been paid? Or
That
had
has,
not been paid?
That has never happened. The only time we haven't paid EPWPs when the department hasn't paid.
Your call has been placed.
The fact that the department felt the need to ring fence this money, as it were, and make sure that it goes to EPWP workers is because they have reason to believe, and as has also been told to us by some of those that are part of your project, that workers are not always paid.
This money was not reinforced for EPWP. It was reinforced for other internal issues. It was not done for EPWP. But so coming back to your statement and saying, we have only paid EPWP late when the department has paid us late. If the department has paid us on time, there has never been the time whereby we have not paid EPWP on time. So at the exact time they are receiving their money, that is the time we have been getting paid from by the department.
The
sentiment... The portfolio of evidence is there. We can show the portfolio of evidence. The portfolio of evidence is definitely there.
Well, the challenge now is that you have workers that are saying there's no transport that is made available to them for them to be able to go on site. On some days, the site is shut down.
They're not wrong because of the suppliers. We haven't paid suppliers. That certificate does not only just hold EPWP salaries. It holds suppliers, it holds staff, it holds the whole business. That's why coming back to my statement and saying it's an act. It looks like it's an act of sabotage, because it does not only just hold EPWP salary, but also the suppliers.
But who would want to sabotage you?
Well, at this time in this, I don't know. You tell us. At this time, I wouldn't know. But if something like this was to happen and there isn't some form of communication and no one knows anything about, then I don't.
All right, Ignatius.
I mean, how would you feel if you had a company and something's happening, but you have no form of communication, no form of nothing as to when you are receiving payments. If they are stopping your payments, you are not being told that payments are being stopped. And then tomorrow you go on site, you get sworn by EPWP.
Hello, Lifa, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. And
All
I'm
right.
saying, oh, sorry, I think it was my network. But and if the people are fighting, how is it affecting us and how is it affecting the EPWP?
So effectively, you're saying that the department is lying. You're saying that Lisiba is lying.
Yes.
Ignatius, let me bring you in here as the chief director of EPWP at a national level. This is really not a good look at all.
Yes, no, it's not a good look at all. What we need to do is that we will engage with the department, but I think with the provincial department, but I think it's important for the provincial department just to bring the POE, the proof that they have paid the contractor, because I think that is something that will sort out the issue of whether they have been paid. I would like to believe my colleague that the payment has been done, but we need the portfolio of evidence in this regard. And also there has to be, because there should be projects management meetings with the contractor. The issues shouldn't be sorted out on air. There should be regular meetings with the contractor to iron out these challenges. So it's something that the provincial department needs to look at, and we will engage with them to see how this can be streamlined so that the EPWP participants on the ground do not suffer from this kind of challenges.
John, you want to come in and weigh in on this conversation? Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Well, thank you, John. Go for it.
Okay. Firstly, I have three questions, ma'am. And first question is directly to Lifa. Can he please explain the terms of the contract that he himself said that the department made a list for the employers that were supposed to come back and sign the new contract, whereas that was not true. First of all, it was a lie, because we had to go to the department ourselves to go and find out. And then secondly, the employees that signed the new contract in April. They received 1,800, of which that was also not supposed to be like that. And again, the issue of the doctor, because he's very manipulative. I'll tell you. You go to a doctor today, they give you 3 days. Later, you'll be against doctor's order. He will only pay you for a day. And the other days, he will tell you straight that you're not going to pay. And the moment you disagree with him, he's threatening to fire you. Of which we have so many. As we speak now, we have ghost employees that we know for a fact that their money is getting in from the department. As to where the money is going, we have no idea. Only him can explain. He can explain that. Contracts and the remaining, the outstanding amount, and also, are we going to get our full salary?
Okay.
Can I come in?
Lifa?
According to this, I've made very clear, and I think the department has also made it clear that EPWP's champion have been there. There's a government gazette that specifically focuses on EPWP. We follow that. That is number one. You will not, it's simple, I will even say this, you will not get paid for 3 days. It's not me, I don't make the rules. EPWP Gazette made it, it's there on the act. I've shown it to them. Even if the doctor gives you 10 days, you can't get paid for it. But then, coming back to that, we've gotten biometrics. We've got, because of how everything used to be so fraudulent, people used to sign for one another and they were getting money, and it was just a mess. That's why we opted in having a biometric system for all our EPWPs. And biometrics don't lie, by the way. So you have to get paid for the days that you worked for. It's a no work, no pay contract. It's the way it is. If you've worked 5 days, there's no way because the stipend you're going to get full salary. It does not work like that.
Okay. All right. Lifa, we've heard from you. Let me give then the officials of the relevant departments to give their parting shot. Lisiba, you're with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Roads and Transport. You heard what Lifa is saying. He's saying you're basically lying about the communication. You're lying about the payment. Respond to that briefly, 30 seconds as we round this off.
Well, thank you very much. Look, we take exception when the department there's going to be insinuation that we are sabotaging. As a matter of fact, to the contrary, we are pro, SMMEs, particular black-owned businesses. So we would not sabotage. And the proof would be in the pudding. I think we will put all our cards on the table. We know that we have schedules, registers, when our teams have been meeting with the contractor, particularly on their non-performance at times, especially when the EPWP have not been paid. So it can be that we're in agreement with the EPWP, but there's now a technicality around the department not paying them. Actually, their last invoice was on the 27th of April. They were supposed to be paid for May, but their invoice was turned back because it was faulty.
Okay.
We would not pay for June because it's work not done. So that's how it is. So we'll prove to Lifa that we are definitely not liars. We don't want this to be a dirty spat on air between the department and the contractor. But we take exception when EPWP are treated in disdain and their welfare is not taken into, that it's not taken seriously.
All right. Lennox? Hello, Lennox?
Hello?
Your parting shot?
Yes, I was saying indeed it is very sad that we have had that kind of finger pointing. But what I undertake to do on behalf of the National Department, which is the coordinator of the program, I will gather information from the side of our sister department in Gauteng so that you get the facts from our side. And tomorrow you can update your listeners. The producers will have the information so they can update them in terms of what has done. But what I want to say is that this program is a stepping stone towards permanent employment and is throwing a lifeline for many struggling citizens.
Okay,
it is
all right.
unfortunate that they've got to experience the challenges that they're experiencing. I think this speaks to the reforms that I indicated that Minister Moscow is driving.
All right, Lennox, that's all we have time for. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there. So as you heard, we've been promised an update on what exactly the truth behind this matter is. Time for the latest news headlines.
Thank you, Cathy. On the news headlines, the Road Freight Association has cautioned against the banning of trucks from certain roads. This after KwaZulu-Natal's Transport MEC, Siboniso Duma, said he was considering banning trucks from using the R34 road near Ulundi due to a number of deadly crashes. Annual consumer inflation in South Africa has remained unchanged at 2.8% in May. This follows a slight uptick in April, up from 2.7% recorded in March. And Human Settlements Minister Thembisi Melane says her department is in the process of assessing land for the relocation of families displaced by floods in Mthatha. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This week on Off-Pitch Goals. After league and cup triumphs for Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, George Maluleka, Lethono Majoro and George Lebesi embark on a journey to conquer the glamorous world of cosmetics. Join us as we find out how they maneuver through this highly competitive industry. Streaming on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturday, 21 June at 8:30 p.m. Off-Pitch Goals, where we showcase how the stars score in business. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This Youth Month, SAFM celebrates the spirit, power and potential of young South Africans. Join us as we dive into conversations that matter, from innovation to education and skills for the changing world. Empowering youth for meaningful economic participation. Because at SAFM, we're not just talking, we're leading the conversations that move us.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. The Jet Set Breakfast on SAFM.
#SAFM Talking Point.
How's Cathy and your guest? How's Cathy, let us be honest, across the board. The Department of Public Works, it is an enemy of small and medium businesses. Look, you must understand, Cathy, these companies don't have, those reserves, it's a situation of, they survive from hand to mouth. Now, if officials, don't, pay, these companies, how are they expected to pay workers, to be honest? Because also, you must remember, one of the reasons, that these invoices are not, paid in time, it is the issue of your bribes and stuff, that it is well documented. So, honestly, the department, it is an enemy of small businesses.
Good morning. This is Anonymous from the Free State. The Police, Roads and Transport Department are behind on all their payments to all their contractors from December. I work for a very big company. We are even stopping projects. We are not employing people. They are hundreds of millions behind.
Hi, good day, Cathy and SFM. The thing about the EPWP workers is that it's a strange situation because, let's take the railways, for example. The national government created the railways to absorb low-skill individuals, and then the opportunity is there for them to up their skills, the opportunity is there for them to sort of get training, to go into engineering, to go into all these fields within the railway services. So the problem with our EPWP system is that it's been chosen to be a sort of a outsourced governance issue where the governments don't really understand their role as in the public sector. The public sector is there to upskill people and to put them back into the economy. That's what the public service ideally should be. So I think it's a governance issue. We have to relook at those industries and we have to solve those problems in practical terms there.
Morning, Mom Katie. This is Nompa from Soweto. Coming to this thing of EPW, I worked for it for more than 5 years. And the saddest thing, I never just get my return money, like a UIF or something. Also, I never even saw my payslip. And first time when you start working, you're going to have a 2 months delay. So I don't know which other province that they're talking about, but here in Gauteng, we don't even believe in this thing of calling EPW anymore. It's just a waste of time. Thank you very much.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
All right, thanks for those WhatsApp voice notes and calls that you put through in our last conversation. It's certainly one that we will continue to keep an eye on and follow up on to get what the progress is, not only from those that have been affected by the non-payment of GMK civils, but I think more broadly, one of those voice notes made a very important point about the role that the public sector has to play in providing skills that will feed back then into the broader economy. And if we're not getting that right, then it's almost a cycle that continues to repeat itself. And I think that's a very important point that we'll have to look into. Well, our final conversation of the day coming to it slightly late. It's time for the G20 series with Lerato Tsebe. Lerato, good morning to you.
Morning, Cathy, and good morning to your listeners.
Okay, quite a busy week. We'll start with the G7. And I mean, what a time, right? The Group of Seven meeting when just an ocean away, the Middle East seems to be tinkering on the edge. And we're waiting to see what happens in the next couple of days, because that conflict could escalate to levels that nobody really would have prepared or anticipated, at least in this moment.
Cathy, I'm telling you, I mean, something I'd said at the beginning of us hosting the G20 to a friend of mine was that, this is quite a consequential G20. Ironically, it's the 20th anniversary of the G20 this year, and it's the 50th anniversary of the G7. I think Prime Minister Carney's had a bit of a baptism of fire this week in Canada. He'd planned everything meticulously. They'd been really excited about hosting their first big international event at the inception, right at the beginning of his administration, and bang, the Middle East goes on fire. I think that nobody could have really anticipated that an escalation of this gravity could have had unfolded so rapidly between Israel and Iran. Now, one of the big bones of contention that you've got going on here is about the UN Charter and the violations of the UN Charter. Some camps are arguing that Israel has violated Article 2, which prohibits the threat or force against territorial integrity of a state. Others are saying it's Article 51 of the UN Charter, which guarantees the right of a UN member state to self-defense. Now, Article 51 was the very same body, rather, that all the other states, the European Union, the United States, the English, had been utilizing at the inception of the Israel-Gaza war, saying that Israel has the right to defend itself. And now, seemingly in a very ironic set of circumstances, it is the exact same statute that the Iranians can use about Israel attacking it. It seems as though this article is performing a bit of legal acrobatics. Now, this issue obviously did come out during the discussions of the G7 amongst the world leaders. They did release a statement, Cathy, stating that they reiterate their commitment to peace and stability in the Middle East. And I want to quote verbatim here, we affirm that Israel has a right to defend itself. We reiterate our support for the security of Israel. Now, interestingly enough, Cathy, right at the end of the statement, which I think is quite ironic and sort of a slight contradiction, but also maybe a teaser as to where talks might be going this week, the G7 statement reads, we urge that the resolution of the Iranian crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza. So I think, Cathy, we've got a bit of an interesting, how can I say, predicament of sorts, where they are trying to contain the situation between Israel and Iran. There are many that are hoping that there's going to be a diplomatic off-ramp that transpires this weekend, where the foreign ministers of Iran and I believe it is one of the Secretary of State of the United States are scheduled for talks on Saturday, although that meeting is yet to be confirmed and finalized by the United States.
One thinks about the scene of Donald Trump being whisked away from that G7 meeting. Of course, the G7 and the G20 are the two key institutions that could leverage their collective power to perhaps intervene on this crisis. But given the way that things have been going, looking at what the U.S. president has been posting on his Truth Social account, is there scope for that, for any kind of intervention from the G20 or even the G7, given the fact that he did leave them behind to go solve the problem? He didn't necessarily stay and say, let's work on the problem together.
Well, Cathy, I mean, the man had to go. I mean, the house is on fire, I think I wasn't really expecting much of President Trump's how should I say, appearance, or rather at the G7 meeting. However, it must be said that quite a number of trade deals were signed off between him and individual member states at that meeting. Primarily the United Kingdom. There was one meeting he had with the Prime Minister Keith Starmer. There was an additional one with the Italians. There was another one with, I believe it wasn't the Japanese, it's the South Koreans, and another one with the Italians. So he got a little bit of work done before he had to quickly depart and leave the meeting. But I think we can't, again, what happened with the G7 is what South Africa hasn't done with its hosting of the G20, where the United States has not become now this overshadowing feature, sort of obstructing the workflow and work plan of the broader meeting at hand. It was a bit unfortunate for the Canadians that they had to be in that position, but I think for all intents and purposes, the show went on and they carried it as well as they possibly could. I think that next week, Cathy, we're going to see what South Africa is going to be able to do with the situation in the Middle East, how we are going to handle it, how we will feature it into our broader year-long program. Next week, of course, Cathy, it is the big meeting between the Sherpas, which will include much broader and more inclusive voices into the situation as to what just happened in between Israel and Iran, where you're going to have the Sherpas from all the G20 member states being there, and they will have to release a communique, and we will see then as to what we can and cannot do regarding the situation in the Middle East. Interesting enough, Cathy, a lot of our BRICS member states will also be present at this meeting next week. So we will be talking as BRICS member states. BRICS has still not released a statement regarding the situation in between Iran and Israel. Iran is, of course, a member of BRICS Plus. So I think that President Ramaphosa is very much keen to see some sort of resolve. This is going to have massive ramifications for us in the immediate sense as South Africa in terms of the price of oil, the price of petrol. In the next quarter, in the medium term, you're going to have much more inflationary pressures that'll be coming in from the Middle East. So we sort of are in a tight financial spot right now, and we don't want to exasperate it with another conflict that's unresolved. But it does seem as though, we've got an Israeli government that's hoping to be a regional hegemon in the Middle East.
All right, Lerato, we're going to have to leave it there for today. One also has to think about South Africa and the fact that we might need to play it safe, especially if President Ramaphosa wants to hand over the G20 presidency to Donald Trump in November. It's very, very sketchy waters right now. All right, we'll leave it there for today on The Talking Point. The show back with you again tomorrow between 9 and midday.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
The Rockets want to take full control of 90 minutes. Meanwhile, First Touch ladies want to transition quick with First Touch football. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Do not miss out on glittering action between TS Galaxy Queens and First Touch ladies on Saturday 21 June at 3 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Mzansi, have you bought your Lotto Plus 1 and Lotto Plus 2 tickets for the mind-blowing 109 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Wednesday? Don't delay. Play Lotto for an estimated 78 million rand, Lotto Plus 1 for 18 million rand, and Lotto Plus 2 for 13 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bucky to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
SAFM will be broadcasting live from the Sanlam Benchmarking Survey event at the Sandton Convention Center this Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. We'll be diving into all things retirement with Sanlam Corporate, unpacking their latest research on how South Africans are preparing or not for life after work. We'll chat to some thought leaders in the retirement space for their take on our collective readiness to retire confidently. Unfortunately, most South Africans may only retire with confidence at age 80. So how do we shift this reality? What can employers, policymakers, and individuals do to change the outlook? Join us for real insights into the future of retirement and employee benefits in South Africa. That's Thursday, 19 June from 9 a.m. only on SAFM.
SFM's award-winning drama department presents another episode of the book, A Testament of Hope, the autobiography of Dr. Sam Motswenyane. Please note that the views expressed in this book are not that of the station. Listeners' discretion is advised.
I have never forgotten that what I did then, just to save my skin, was morally wrong. I perhaps should have said, "Ja, die boss het gepoep." Yes, the boss farted. Why not? You see how the truth gets sacrificed when one lives in fear? You sacrifice the truth to save your skin, and quite often this is the case in our daily lives. We find situations developing where one has to work to save one's skin at all costs, and doing so without considering how bad it is to have to do that, because you are actually telling a lie. This, we might say, is to do evil so that good may come. On my arrival at Valmansdam early in 1939, my parents had to ensure that both my elder brother, Molefe, and my younger sister, Mutlatsi, attended school. For the children of those who lived on land that was owned by the Lutheran Church, there was already a school. But for those children of the newly settled plot owners, there were no schooling facilities available. The community of plot owners clubbed together to build a school for their children. The school, headed by Mr. C.R. Ntuli and 3 teachers, initially opened in the garage of a local bus operator, Mr. Mudisa King, while the community was building the Valmansdam Settlement School, which we later attended. Owing to the long distance that had to be traveled daily from the settlement school, our parents later decided to enroll us at the Lutheran school, which was much closer to our residence. After passing Standard 6 in 1943 at the Lutheran school, I went to Wilberforce. Chapter 3. The Travails and Joys of My Education Schooling at Wilberforce. The journey from Valmansdam to Wilberforce was quite a harrowing experience. Accompanied by my mother, I encountered the first harassment which newcomers often face when we boarded the train at Bon Accord station.